Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Radke, CEO of the National Institute for Social Media and Online Marketing Certified Professionals, OMCP. I hope that everything is going well here. I'm just setting up LinkedIn for the first time, going live with a new tool called Riverside. So I'm hoping everything is good. If you wouldn't mind letting me know, that would be great. See, sorry, I don't want to hear myself. So I'm hoping that everything is going through perfectly well. I'm going to move this over so that I have access to that as well. It is so great. Oh, there we go. All right, so great to see everyone here today. Please put your comments into or your questions into the comment field. Sorry, I'm getting a little delayed, not knowing exactly what's working and what's not. So please feel free to put your comments into your questions into the comments field. I want to make this all about you and make sure that you're getting the questions answered that you all have today. So let's see, I'm hoping everything is going well. Can somebody leave me a comment and let me know if you are indeed seeing and hearing me? Okay. Very good. All right. I hope everybody is having a great day. It is a busy day. It is the holiday season. We've got lots of things going on. And one of the reasons that we're here today is to really talk about professional development. Right now is a great time for us to kind of slow down, relax, and try to determine what our goals are in terms of professional development for 2026. We often get questions at this time of year about training for marketing teams or agency teams, about personal certifications, and how to just go about staying current in such a busy space that we live in. And so I wanted to take just a little bit of time to have this conversation today and see what questions everyone has about professional development, what kinds of things you're thinking about preparing for in 2026. I can't believe it's going to be 2026. And then also answer just some questions that you might have that we have been hearing some frequently asked questions over the years. So let me get started since I don't see any questions yet. I want to just go ahead and get started with a really quick kind of overview. So one of the questions a lot of people have been asking us this year is, what is the relationship between the National Institute for Social Media and Online Marketing Certified Professionals, or OMCP? And the relationship is that they are sister organizations. So NISM actually acquired OMCP a couple of years back. And the goal was to really make sure that marketing professionals across the globe have what they need in order to prove to the rest of the world that they actually know what they're talking about. Because time and time again, people are being told that either marketing, especially digital marketing and social media, is super easy. And so anybody can do it. But then they're also being told they need certain credentials that they may not have because, we might be a little older and therefore we didn't grow up with social media in our back pocket. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is really diversify the certifications that we offer so that everyone can really put credentials in their toolkit that says, hey, we do know this. It's been assessed by a third-party organization that sets industry standards, and this is how I can bring value to your organization. So that is how we work together. Yay, thank you everybody for the great comments. I'm so glad to see that everything is good, and that you can see and hear me. So thank you all for being here. Yay, this is fantastic. Okay, so that was the first question that I wanted to kind of address. It came through other channels, and we get asked that question a lot. And so I wanted to kind of talk about that. An interesting follow-up to that is, well, what are the certifications that's offered by OMCP and NISM? And so I wanted to just quickly highlight that. We do offer 3 different industry standardized certifications. One is the Social Media Strategist certification through the National Institute for Social Media. And that is for folks that have a desire or are working in the world of social media, who want to elevate their understanding and their practice to a strategic role. We see people who are doing this as freelancers or independent business owners for organizations, as well as anyone contributing in an agency or corporate space and leading those teams. Everybody up to a CMO is able to and going to get certified in social media strategy. It's really about understanding how social fits into the marketing roles, understanding all of the pieces and how they work together. And because it is a strategic certification, it isn't going to touch on every little tactic that might be deployed. It's really understanding what may work and what may not, and how to figure all of those things out. On the OMCP side of the house, they look at a few other areas of digital marketing. So in the OMCA, or associate level certification, it covers 8 different content areas, things from search engine optimization to pay-per-click or digital advertising, digital analytics, conversion rate optimization, email and mobile marketing, content strategy, and social media strategy. And then we have the OMCP certification that does a base exam of those 8 content areas I just listed, as well as choosing 2 areas to specialize in and get a specific subject matter area certification there. So that one actually includes 3 exams. So those are the 3 certifications that we offer, and that we are trying to provide for the marketing community. All right, I am not seeing any current questions in LinkedIn. So if you do have any, please feel free to make sure to add those to the comment sections there. I did get a couple of others emailed to me, so I will go ahead and make sure that I am answering those as we move forward. It is so good to see everyone. Bess, so good to see you. Alyssa, thank you for being here. AJ or RJ, Jamie, Celeste. Oh, so good. Okay, I'm now seeing some questions. How can a strategist best explain why they're more capable than AI to a client who would like to rely on it? That is an amazing question, Celeste. Thank you for asking that. That is also a very tough question, right? Because everybody is going to have slightly different conversations depending on who they're talking with and talking to and what they value. But the best thing that, without getting too defensive, right, that I think could be hugely beneficial for folks who are strategists to explain is what that means. So AI, and I just saw a really great article. I wish I could remember the person who published it, but I saw a really great article about AI is great at tactical execution. You have a bunch of data, for example, and you want it to help decipher information or probably identify trends or come up with certain pieces. It's really good at that tactical execution. But what AI is not good at least not today, and I know there are a few people out there who might disagree with me, but it's not good at the strategy. It's not understanding how its recommendations, its content that it's being created, aligns with the brand goals, the audience, and what the audience most needs. And you can do a lot as a strategist who's working with an AI tool to make sure that it has a lot of information to build that for you, but it still takes that human to look through it and identify if it's correct, if it is in alignment, and if it is what is most beneficial for the organization moving forward. So I think that it's important to share that big picture with your audience, with your clients, with your hiring managers, whomever that might be. And then the other piece that I know really helps people kind of solidify that expertise is by talking about the continuing education that's required to stay certified. There's a lot of programs out there, a lot of courses and certificates out there that are a one and done. And most companies, most hiring managers, and even some clients, they understand that stuff changes constantly. And so there's trepidation about hiring an individual who may not know the latest and greatest, right? So that's where it comes in by saying, I have to stay certified. I have to stay current by doing continuing education and to ensure that this credential lives with me. And that can be super valuable. I hope that helps, Celeste. Thank you for the question. All right, Bess. You've been thinking about getting certified for a while now. You struggle with social media and feel it has hurt your ability to promote your business. You'd like to understand better what the content would be and which certification would work best for your goals. Ooh, this is a great question, Bess. Thank you. You're not alone. First of all, I'll start with that. I know a lot of people who have been interested in certification for one reason or another over the years and maybe haven't pulled the trigger quite yet, and that's all right. And it is tough to know really what you need. I have a little bit of an advantage here because, Bess, I know you and we've chatted a little bit. I'm familiar with your business. If you were a complete stranger to me, I would have so many more questions before I could provide an answer to this question, because knowing which one would be best for your goals is very difficult without understanding fully what those goals are. But based on our past conversations, I'm going to make a little bit of an assumption and move forward. But anybody who has that same question, I offer free certification conversations, just strategy calls to say, would this be a good option for you? And if so, how do we move forward? So I'd be happy to do that at any time, and I will put the link in comments here as soon as I can. Let me answer the first part of this question first, which is, what is the content that would be included? It does depend on which of the certifications that you proceed with. My guess for you and some of the conversations that we've had, Bess, would be that the social media strategist would be the best encompassing program for you, because it's going to give you that picture of understanding your audience, understanding your brand, knowing where they live online, and how to best reach them in order to reach your company goals. It's also going to help walk through what are those goals for the company and how does that look, right? So what's covered in the social media strategist, both training and certification exam? The first section is going to be about strategic planning. And this is looking at that big picture, right? Why are we using social media? Who is our audience? What is our brand? What are we trying to accomplish here? What's the problem that we solve? And who do we solve it for? Really kind of walking through all of those big pieces that put together the trajectory for any marketing plan, digital or traditional. We are also going to address things like compliance and governance. So this is important for two reasons for you. One, as a business owner, you need to understand terms of service. You need to understand privacy policies, intellectual properties, all that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of compliance and governance there. But because you work in a clothing brand, right, or a retail brand, there's also going to be the potential that you might work with influencers. And so understanding how to stay compliant with the influencer space is also going to be very important for you. And so we're going to go through compliance and governance. One of the biggest sections is going to be marketing and communications. And the title alone is overwhelming, right? Because it's all encompassing. But we really are going to talk through how do you identify the type of content that's best for your goals, for your brand, for your audience. And then you can choose intentionally where you want to be present to share that content. So is it on LinkedIn? Is it on YouTube, right? What are those channels for distribution of the content that's best? How do you integrate email content, calls to action, making sure that you're telling a story, all of that kind of information. We'll also address project management because rarely can one person do it all by themselves. And so you might need freelancers, or you might need to bring in a strategist to help you with the big picture, and then you do some tactical implementation. Maybe you, for your business, want a blogger. All of those things need some sort of tracking. And so project campaign management is huge there. Advertising campaigns, how are they implemented? How are they running? How are they working? Online community management, so building a community online and having engagement like we are having here. How does that work? What do you do if somebody's unhappy with what you say in an online world? How do you address concerns that people have? And then last, but certainly not least, is research and analysis. Everything we do in this space should tie back to some sort of measurement. Understanding what that measurement should be is really the first step based on your goals and objectives, but then using that data to really move forward and make sure that you are addressing the needs of the organization. So I'm hoping that that helps. I kind of answered the last part first as far as what certification would be best. I think the social media strategist in your particular situation would be best. But if somebody is really wanting to do more with their e-commerce website, for example, then it might be more around search engine optimization, conversion rate optimization, and analytics, where the OMCA certification could be a huge start. Fantastic questions, you guys. I appreciate this so much. Just going to refresh here and see if there are other questions. Okay. Very good. Okay. Age, RJ, I'm sorry, I offended. I did not mean to. Oh, Alyssa. Okay, great question. How do these compare to Digital Marketing Institute? So this is a great question. I really stay away from comparing us to others in certain ways because I am not as intimately aware of their programs. And so what I would like to say first and foremost is that there are a lot of really great certifications out there. There are a couple of different things that I look for. So one is it an industry certification or industry standardized, right? Or is it a tool certification or application certification? So let me explain that real quick. So industry certified meaning it is something that benefits the industry as a whole, not just users of a tool. Tool certifications are fantastic. I love them. Many of you are probably certified in either Meta ads or Google certifications, right? These are very helpful and fantastic, but they are tool specific. So industry certifications are a little broader. They're a little bit more encompassing of folks that work in the space of digital and social media. So then the question becomes, who establishes the certification and what criteria do they use? For example, at the National Institute for Social Media and OMCP, these exams are not built by me. I am not the subject matter expert in all things digital marketing. I have been fortunate to surround myself with outstanding advisory board members and subject matter experts who help us to take information we glean in a job study that we do every other year and take that information and decide what is most needed in this space right now. What are those skills and abilities that social media strategists or online marketing professionals need to have? And how do we then address those by asking the right questions? So our board and our subject matter experts, they're the ones building those credentials. They're the ones building those exams. I get to lead those teams of very smart people. And so we want to look at that as well when you're looking at competitors. And then I look at things like, how is the training offered? Is it different? What's best for your learning needs? Because that oftentimes is there. What value do you get in the community? Is there one? Do you want that, right? Is that important to you? What other types of collaborations or opportunities do you have within your certification body? Those types of things. And so I would look at all of those when evaluating different marketing certifications. Oh, and Jamie, your question is somewhat similar as well. So you've been working a lot with HubSpot in your day job and going through a few certifications there. Yes, you did email a few months ago to see if some of those hours could be used towards recertification. Off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that question if we have yet approved those for continuing ed, but oftentimes we do. And so on the National Institute for Social Media's website, nismonline.org, you can go under resources and there should be a section for continuing education. That will tell you all of the things that have already been pre-approved for recertification hours and how many. And then if it's not there, it will give you the information on how to have it reviewed so that it can get added. And I apologize if you did not get an email back on that one. We will make sure that I follow up with that soon. So fantastic question. Okay, keep great questions coming, you guys. Professional development is so important, and there are so many places to get support and help that it's really important to understand the difference. Ooh, more about the test. Yes, so depending on which test you take, there are some differences and there are some similarities. So first of all, they are all multiple choice and they are all 100% online with remote proctors, which means that someone else will join you in your online environment and watch you take your exam. Some people are a little surprised by that, but the reality is that we need to keep the integrity of the certification good. And therefore, we need to make sure there's no cheating, that you are who you say you are when you sit down to take the exam, that kind of stuff. And so we use a couple of different tools with a live proctor who helps you through that online process. The lengths of the exams are different. So the OMCA exam is about 70 questions, and you have 2 hours to take it. The social media strategist is 165 questions. We have also just changed that to 2 hours. We used to give people 3 and found that no one needed it. And so unless English is not a first language, you have 2 hours to take it. As I mentioned, 165 questions, all multiple choice. You can also download the candidate handbook on the National Institute for Social Media's site, and that will tell you how much of each of those 6 content domain areas are in each section of the exam. So hopefully that's helpful. Ooh, good question, RJ. So your certification was earned a few years ago. You want to jump back into the community after a year or two. How can you get involved in NISM or OMCP? This is such a fun question. So there's a lot of different ways. So if your certification is still good, there are closed LinkedIn and Facebook groups for most of these organizations. And this is a great place to connect with your fellow strategists or your fellow certified professionals collaborate, have conversations, share best practices. You can always reach out to myself or the team at NISM or OMCP and ask for some guidance depending on what your goals are for getting kind of re-engaged. But the other thing is that we offer webinars, free webinars, a couple of times a month. December, we will only have one, and it's actually tomorrow, where we're talking about Discord with a friend of ours, Chris Barrows. And so those webinars, we encourage you to jump into. They're great for continuing ed or professional development units, but they're also really good to just keep track of other community members. In addition to that, if you want to get involved in becoming a subject matter expert or on our advisory board, we are always looking for those folks as well. And right now, we are actually taking applications for our advisory board members, because we do kind of roll through folks every couple of years based on life situations, based on needs, and also to make sure that we're staying fresh, right? And that we're moving forward there. And so I'd be more than happy to get anyone some additional information on how to join the board. We have guest blogging opportunities. We have speaking opportunities within our webinars and our continuing ed. We have opportunities to help create resources that folks may need, whether that be downloads, templates, checklists, all that kind of stuff. So we have lots of opportunities to get involved, and I welcome any and all of them. We also love working with different chapters across the country of maybe AMA or PRSA. And so we are also looking for opportunities to do that as we can. Great question. Okay, Bess, new cohort is starting in January, and that is for the social media strategist certification, which leads me to a whole nother question, which is how do you best prepare for each of these exams? Let me start by saying you do not have to do a training program in order to sit for certification. So if somebody comes to us, they're a CMO or a high-level social media digital marketing professional with lots of experience and they feel confident but want the credential, they can sit for that exam anytime that they feel comfortable doing so. Then depending on the certification that you're looking at, there are multiple ways that you can prepare based on your adult learning styles, your background, and your needs. So for example, on the social media side, you can do everything from get a copy of the textbook that outlines the content within each of those content domain areas, to a self-study package, which goes through the textbooks and practice exams and maybe some tutoring options, and then the cohort course, which is the cohort course is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous classroom activities. So meaning that you get online all at one time and have a lot of freedom to check your homework and do your discussions on your own time as well. That one goes through 6 weeks, one content domain per week. So led by an educator, and you get to be involved with other professionals around the globe during that time. So you meet once a week for an hour with the educator. That's the synchronous time. The rest of the time you're going through online lectures, online discussion prompts, and submitting assignments that can be used for work that you're currently doing, the business that you have, all those types of things, or you can make it up if you don't have anything to work through. So there's a lot of variety in how you prepare. On the OMCA and OMCP side, we have a textbook that has been written by some of our educators and subject matter experts. You can find that on Amazon. Otherwise, there are a variety of training options, and those are all through registered educational partners. So it might be something kind of short and sweet, like LinkedIn Learning has a 3 to 4 hour online class, to SiteLogic, which has a more instructor-led, customizable program. Again, I believe all of SiteLogic's are online or remote-based, but it gives you that, to a Western Governors University where it's built into a master's program. And so that happens over time. So there's lots of different opportunities. The one that's happening in January is our cohort for the social media strategist. So that is a fantastic question. All right. Taking a look here. All right. Very good. You guys have had so many fantastic questions. And so I really appreciate you coming on and spending this time with me to learn a little bit more about the certification options, about continuing education, about the different preparation. The thing to keep in mind is that we love supporting folks in all areas of their career journey. And so if you have a question, if you're in college and you're not sure where to go next or what types of things to pursue, if you are in job transition and you're struggling with, how do you find the right people to help you into networking? If you want to get into more speaking or training or teaching, we really want to be able to have that conversation with you and see if we can be of support and guidance there. So please don't hesitate to reach out to myself personally or anyone on the NISM team or advisory board, because I know them all. They are fantastic people who love to help and support professionals in this space. And so we would love that opportunity to chat more and really make sure that we're getting your specific questions answered. Everything is, it depends, right? Like it's never a one size fits all opportunity. And so it's really important to make sure that you're getting your questions answered that you have about each of these things. All right, I'm just looking. I don't see, how do you schedule an appointment with me? I was just going to get there and then I'll come back to Celeste. So I'm going to go ahead and put my Calendly link in the chat here. And it's a 30-minute certification exploration conversation, and I am happy to have it with anyone that has questions. So I'm adding that right now. Okay, there you go. Oops, did not like to post my comment, so I will try again. I might have to try afterwards. Apologize for that. Okay, Celeste had a question. What's one of my favorite professional development stories? How did certification help change someone's career? Ooh, that is such a good question. I love that. And definitely should have been prepared for more of that. But no, there are so many different things. So early on, one of my favorites was I physically flew to the University of North Florida for an event. Dr. Margaret Stewart, who teaches for us, has been certified for many years, was hosting one of, I believe, the first ever Social Media Day Jacksonville events at UNF, and she had asked me to come down and table and speak on behalf of NISM. And so I did that. And I was standing at the table handing out material and talking to people. And a woman came up to me and she looks at me and she goes, "You're the reason we hired Dr. Stewart." And I was kind of taken aback. Like I didn't know. Sometimes when people are pointing their fingers and very stern, right, you're not really sure what they're talking about. And I said, "I'm sorry, tell me more. Like, I really want to hear this." And what she said was that in the process of interviewing Dr. Stewart for the communications role, her certification really stood out as something that most of the other applicants did not have. And it was adding additional value to their communications department, to their marketing departments, and really gave some additional credibility and clout to what Dr. Stewart was doing. So that is one of the favorites that I have that I pull from fairly frequently. But there's been so many over the years. We have had entire agencies get certified, and they talk about how going through the cohort course that we were just talking about is helpful for even their designers, their graphic designers, their photographers, to understand why they're being asked for different materials by different assets for different sizes, whatever the case may be, and really understand the whole process instead of just looking at, okay, we need to put this ad out on Meta. They understand why we're putting that ad out, why it's targeted to that audience, and how to best talk about its results with our clients. And so that's been really, really fun to see that happen, see that come to fruition as we go through the process. And so that is probably a couple of my favorites to kind of go through and share, because they are really unique situations and everybody has a different outcome. You know, I've seen our last job study actually gave us some really fun statistics. So 54% of certified strategists received a raise after earning their social media certification, and 56% received a promotion or a new job. Those are huge numbers. Those are super exciting responses happening. I also know that folks have gone out on their own and they've used the certification to help build credibility as they're bringing on new clients who are nervous because it's the first time that they're doing, this work on their own. And so I think that's huge. Okay. Bess, I love it. You need to get off the fence. That sounds good. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. Okay, fantastic team. If anyone has any additional questions, please go ahead and throw them in the comments. I will make sure that I get responses made to the resources that we talked about, to setting up a time with me, and also share some of the resources that I've mentioned over the last 40 minutes or so, so that you all can access those. I make sure, Jamie, that I follow up with you on professional development, but I will also share the professional development tools that have been approved by our education team so that you know what that is and where to find that in the future. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. And then, yeah, if anyone has any last minute questions, please feel free to throw them in chat. And I'll be happy to answer those. Okay. All right, very good. I think that I'm going to go ahead and let you all get back to your day because, like I said right away, it is a busy time of year. And so I just appreciate you being here for this live. If you're catching the recording, please don't hesitate to leave us questions. We will get to those as well. And if we want to come back on and do another AMA, I'm happy to do that in the future. If you have questions or on the fence about certification, which one's right for you, when to get started, definitely reach out. I will also share some information about the advisory board and our webinars. So thank you all so much for a fantastic day, for a fantastic time, and have a wonderful holiday season.